Hi, I'm Rudy Esmeralda, student of medieval philosophy, and this video is my final oral exam. In this video, I will answer two series of questions about the five ways of Saint Aquinas in proving God's existence. So the first question is this. Does this way of proving God's existence stand with the plurality of sciences, the multiple ways of thinking about the world in different cultures? To answer this question, I would like to give a quick summary of these five ways of Saint Aquinas in proving God's existence. The first one is the argument from the motion. This argue about the unmoved mover. Everything around us are in constant state of motion and change. Everything is always changing and moving, and it is being caused by something that is not changing, which is God. The second way is the argument from efficient causality. This argue about the one who is being the cause of everything and is not caused by anything. The other term is uncaused cause, who is the first in a series or in a series of the causes and not caused by anything, which we call God. The third way is the argument from the possibility, the argument from possibility and necessity. In this argument, St. Thomas Aquinas wanted to show that there is something that is a necessary being, meaning an imperishable being and perpetually exists to keep other beings exist. The fourth way is the argument from gradations of perfection. These argue that there must be one existing being who possesses all the perfections as an absolute, meaning there is something which is best and most true, and the only perfect being, and this is God. The last and the fifth way is the argument from teleology. These argue that there is something which ordains things toward a final end or final purpose. We can see this, as we can see, these five ways of St. Aquinas are not explained and understood by scientific senses, but rather they are combination of faith and reasons. They have they are assumed by faith and determined in rational verification through sense of experience toward metaphysical data or metaphysics. That is why we must also note that these arguments are based on some aspects of sensible world. Saint Aquinas used his capacity to observe his surroundings or senses experience, and in my opinion, these ways of proof of Saint Aquinas can still be applicable in our generation today. We still use our capacity to observe, to prove, to prove one thing, though since we are in the generation of technologies, we usually use some advanced way to prove it if the thing is true. Though many scholars and commenters caution against treating the five ways as if they were modern logical proofs. The second question is like this. Is there any possible question or objection that can be raised? If so, then what does tell us about Saint Thomas working within his own milieu and intellectual atmosphere? As I said, many scholars and commenters caution against treating these five ways of Aquinas as if they were modern logical proofs because of these possible objections, the negativa, or the negative way of theology, and the conclusions of each way. That is the second. In the first objection, the via negativa, Aquinas held that we are unable to apprehend the divine substance or God by knowing what it is, yet we are able to have some knowledge of it by knowing what it is not. Consequently, to understand the five ways as Aquinas understood them, we must interpret them as negative theology, listing what God is not. Like, for example, not a mover, not a causer, and etc. The second objection is each way concludes not with it is proven or therefore God exists, but with a formulation that this everyone understands as God, or this being we call God, etc. In other words, the five ways do not attempt to prove God exists. They attempt to demonstrate what we call God, which is delicately different thing. But there's another more serious objection about one of the five ways of happiness, which is the argument from efficient causality. It is not obvious that it's true that if there is an uncaused cause of things, that thing would be God. Consider, for example, the following statement of Big Bang theory of the origins of the universe. This, this first event in the history of the universe was an explosion of an extremely dense collection of particles, with every particle moving apart from every other particle. This event had no cause. In particular, no intelligent being set it into motion. And further, every subsequent event has been an effect of this event. This is a description of the way that the universe could be, according to which there is a cause of the existence of things, which was not itself caused to occur. But would it be reasonable to say that if this picture of the universe is true, God exists? It seems not. After all, if this view were correct, what would be God? Or what would God be? Or the event of the Big Bang? The condensed matter which exploded in the Big Bang. Either way, God would no longer exist. Moreover, these things lack too many of the central attributes to our conception of God, such as, for example, personhood, intelligence, love, and moral goodness. And here is a possible, maybe, no, a reply on Aquinas' behalf. Perhaps Aquinas is not just talking about a temporal series of causes of existence. Some indication of this is given by the fact that Aquinas did not think that we could know or that we could know on the basis of reason that the age of the universe was finite. Perhaps when Aquinas talks about causes in this argument, he is talking about sustaining causes, meaning the sustaining causes of something is not just what it start of its existence, but it also what keeps it in existence over time. And this ends my oral exam. Thank you.